Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Jeff, how the hell are you doing, man?
You know, sign me up for my last, my hair versus hair match. Like, kind of same reason here as Kurt. And so, but I'm feeling good, though. I don't have one of those in my future. I do got a regular haircut this week, but, I'm feeling good, though. We're just a lot happening in the wrestling world, of course, post-Mania. We're on the road to Backlash now. But before we get there, we're going to talk about this, and I'm excited about that.
Man, did you ever think you'd see the day where Backlash would be in a stadium? I mean, they're doing it, in a football stadium. Backlash. It's just wild. It's wild. And last year, Backlash did like a multi-million-dollar gate overseas. It's a different business. How did we end up on this match?
Yeah, so this is one, obviously, more than anything, it's just Kurt Angle. And so I think at one point I stumbled on just kind of a Kurt Angle kind of list of matches and stuff like that. Good little story with this one, tight little story, not a ton, but still really good. Kurt really in his prime in this one, looks great, like in the ring, moving great. And so primarily, we'll talk about Edge, Cope, whatever, gives us a reason to talk about him a little bit here too. But yeah, more than anything, kind of Kurt Angle.
Love it, man. Well, I'm looking forward to covering this one. So let's go ahead and get into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
All right, so Judgment Day, 2002, May 19th. Nashville, Tennessee, the Gaylord Entertainment Center. We have 15,000 in attendance, and we did a pay-per-view buy rate of 370,000. We start out with a dark match of William Regal retaining his European Championship against D'Lo Brown in 6 minutes. I would argue William Regal is like your perfect European champion. Our first match, Eddie Guerrero retaining his IC championship against RVD in 11 minutes. Sounds like a fun match. In the women's championship match, Trish Stratus is going to defeat Stacy Keibler. They go 2 minutes and 54 seconds. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman are going to defeat the Hardy Boys in 4 minutes and 47 seconds. Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to defeat The Big Show and Ric Flair in a 15-minute handicap match. Then we get the match we're covering. Then Triple H is going to defeat Chris Jericho in a 24-minute Hell in a Cell match. Rico and Rikishi are going to defeat Billy and Chuck to win the tag team championships in 4 minutes. And then the main event in 11 minutes, The Undertaker defeats Hulk Hogan to win the Undisputed Championship. So Hogan held the title for a month. He beats Triple H in the red and yellow, gets the big pop, and then a month later, we're dropping it. And man, you look at this era, Jeff, and it was just so month to month and probably week to week, but I understand like maybe Hulk Hogan didn't have a year-long title reign in him, but it just seems so anticlimactic that, coming off of WrestleMania 18, the Big Rock match, he beats Triple H in the red and yellow, and then in a horrible match, The Undertaker wins it. And I believe The Undertaker lost it like the month later at King of the Ring, if I'm not mistaken. But we're just ping-ponging the title. And I think, Brock ended up with it at SummerSlam. But it just, I don't know, man. Just some real challenging booking. And I mean, you just even look at this card and you can just tell stuff was just thrown together because, hey, we have a pay-per-view and we got to get $40 out of people. Edge and Angle, how do we get to a hair versus hair match?
Yeah, this is like I said, kind of a fun little build on this one. And so we'll start actually with Angle on this one. In his first Royal Rumble, that was January 20th, 2002. So you're looking at about 3-4 months prior to this one. He was the final two, eventually being eliminated by who won? Triple H. After that, he kind of feuded with Kane a little bit. He beat him at that WrestleMania 18 in March. And then he was after that, because this, if you remember, the draft used to always be kind of right after Mania at this time. And so he was drafted to SmackDown, and then he had a previous feud with Edge that he got into. And so, that's where that kind of came back. So where did the Edge come into play on this, kind of all that? And so going back about 6 months on this one, Edge actually lost the Intercontinental Championship to Test. It was November 5th on Raw. He then won the WCW United States Championship from Kurt Angle the following week on Raw. And so you had a rematch of Edge and Test at Survivor Series. This all playing out that November 2001, just a little bit before him, regaining the Intercontinental Championship, which he then unified with the United States Championship. He then feuded with William Regal for a little bit for that belt, which they went with the Intercontinental Championship, beat him at Vengeance in December. And then lost it to Regal at the Royal Rumble, and then rematch against Regal. It was No Way Out in February in a brass knuckle on a pole match, which who doesn't love a good anything on a pole match? So he also, like I said, he beat Booker T at WrestleMania, and then he got drafted to SmackDown as well too, and that's where these guys picked up a feud they had. Like I said, it goes back quite a bit because of that United States Championship, unifying the titles. There was a little bit before that too, but there was kind of a lull, and so this would be the first match that these guys had after the kind of not the brand split, but the draft for all these people. Now, why a hair versus hair match? I will get into the answer for that, which is Kurt Angle was balding. There was nothing more to it than Kurt Angle was losing his hair, and we needed a stipulation for this. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to lose, but like we do have it where he needs to do something about that, and so that's how we end up in this hair versus hair match.
Well, I'm looking forward to covering this one. I'm sure it's going to be a great match. Hard to believe it wouldn't be.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're at the 109-minute mark of Judgment Day 2002. 109, Judgment Day 2002, Season 4, Episode 1 on Peacock. Jeff, are you ready?
Let's do this.
All right, man. It's time for the payoff.
Ho! It's time for the payoff.
But it doesn't take a lot of skills to shave somebody bald, and that's what we're going to see tonight. I'm talking about a little.
Caught the tail end of that. Was that a different entrance music for Edge?
I believe so, yes.
It makes sense. It was a long time ago.
Pretty well tells you what's going on. Front face lock applied by the
Angle in the red here, Edge in the white. Yep, tying up, locking up, getting right into it.
Kurt Angle challenge to this match.
So what's been your feeling on Cope in AEW?
Yeah, so the little bit I've been watching or kind of, following just through social media, and that I'm not really watching, but, finding on social media and stuff like that. I know they turned him face recently. I find it interesting, and I think you and I have texted these kind of statistics to each other before, but he's not losing ever. He's not really getting people over. That's not the role he's in. He's really there just he's beating everybody. And so I don't know, I get it. It's Edge, it's Cope, whatever you want to call him. For what he's done for the industry, you can't overlook that, but also I don't know. It's just not exciting to me. It's really not. The face turn great. Fans can cheer for him again, but is this the final run then too? Are him and Christian going to go out? And Christian's a heel, so I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I like the idea of. I don't hate the idea of they feuded and then now they're going to come together because, they're best friends and they'll do the FTR thing. I don't know. it's not like I've watched every promo and every match or anything. I've caught what I caught. I mean, I guess the way I look at it is it's probably a good fit. You know, it's great for him. He gets to work with his friends. He has unlimited creative control. He can do whatever he wants in his matches. So from like a artistry standpoint, and he's more artistic than many wrestlers, he probably loves it. And it's just like, it's great for him. And, you know, AEW gets access to a Hall of Famer like him. So huge suplex to the outside, by the way. That was pretty awesome.
Giant,
So like, I just feel like it's a good fit, right? Like that's what AEW is going to get. They're going to get guys like Jericho and Edge, and in exchange, they're going to give them complete creative control to do whatever they want. And I think we've seen some things from Jericho, some things from Cope have worked well, and some things haven't. And those guys are happy. They're making a couple $1 million a year, and they don't have, you know, Vince or the WWE machine telling them what to do. So, okay. But I don't know if anything.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, but I don't know if anything that he's done is like set the world on fire. You know, it's just, I don't know, man. In general, it just seems like no matter what they do, they're just catering to their audience. And you know, we can debate what that audience is. Is it 600,000? Is it 1 million? How many people are watching on Max? You know, we know 100,000-ish buy every pay-per-view. We think there's, you know, 600,000-700,000, maybe upwards of 1 million watching on a weekly basis. But they're just, I mean, without, you know, except for some like minor nuances, there's just not a lot of growth there. There's not, I just feel like for the past few years, there just hasn't been, I mean, I don't think anything's been bad, but I don't think anything's been like really good. You know, your Roman Reigns, your NWO, your Stone Cold Steve Austin, I mean, pick it, but like, you know, your Goldberg, like, you know, at the end of the day, there's, and you've heard me say this, but there's only a handful of guys and only a handful of angles that truly have moved the needle. You know, like Hulk Hogan moved the needle, but then Warrior and Savage, you know, couldn't draw like him as champion. It's like, even though they're like iconic, some of the best ever, it's like very few things dramatically, you know, 30, 40, 50% growth happen in wrestling. And so like, I just, you know, Cope and AEW, again, it's just another guy where he has had no effect on business. And I'd argue the only person that's had an effect on AEW's business for the better has been CM Punk. He was really the only needle. Oh, but Tom, Will Ospreay has great matches. Yeah, but he hasn't put you know, 10 more people in the seats. He hasn't drawn more pay-per-view buy rates. Everything has been like flat or declining for them. And you can go month to month, week to week and see some improvements. But like, who truly has, you know, moved the needle for them? And the answer is Punk only. And I'd argue maybe you could argue Chris Jericho moved the needle because he did get them a lot of exposure early on. That was a big signing. He headlined the first pay-per-view. He was the first champion. So yeah, but it's just and obviously they couldn't get Cody to that point, which I'm not saying is their fault, but you know, the arguably biggest star in the business right now, you had him. And you know, you for whatever reason couldn't put him in a position to draw.
Yeah. And it was packaged the exact same way, like that, you know. So yeah, well, you bring up Jericho. It's interesting because I know recently, it was earlier this month or whatever it was, he was saying like, I get it, like he's hedging his bets a little bit here too, but he's like, yeah, of course I'd go back to WWE, but like, you know, in the exact quote, he goes, once again, there are 2 teams you can play on, which is amazing, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to take a chance and go to AEW in the first place. It was a real gamble, but when he's talking about WWE, it just depends on what the situation is and what's going on with me at the time. Okay, to me, it's okay, who's cutting the check? Like, I think he's probably sitting at quite a few million in AEW, but like, okay, you know, we take a cut, like maybe 3 million to come back and do, you know, 3-4, you know, maybe big shows a year. Not the big shows, but like, you know, but and kind of take it out or go out in WWE. I think he will be back in WWE. I think Edge will be too. I don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I obviously I'm a WWE homer. I hope they both come back for something and retire. And I'd imagine Triple H would do it right and do it with class. It's funny, the other guy in the ring, Angle. I mean, how bad did they butcher his, final match, the thing with Corbin? I mean, it obviously in hindsight, it makes zero sense because, Corbin didn't do anything, but even at the time, you understood what they were trying to do. You thought there was something there, but it's like, dude, of all the things you could have done in Angle's final match, fine, he lost, whatever, but come on, man. And that was just so disappointing. And I honest to goodness, and I think I heard Angle more recently in an interview. I mean, without saying it this way, he basically said, look, Vince had no use for me. And I think that's, and again, a 70-something-year-old businessman, you become callous to certain things. You probably are able to take a lot of emotion out of it. Some of it's just, based on his life story. Some of it's based on his personality. Some of it's based on age. But it's like, I literally think he looked at Kurt Angle and went, look, I can't, what am I going to do with this guy? His body's broken down and I can't make any money off him. And, oh, by the way, he kind of screwed me 10, 15 years ago when he left and had problems and we tried to get him help and he wouldn't get help. So Vince just had no love lost for him at all. And I think that's part of it too, where it was like, you want your final match? Fine. I'll put you on the card. You're going to job out to a guy that, I think obviously has a brighter future than you here. It's pretty wild, man. But that was incredibly disappointing. I wish they could have done anything with him that would have been better than what they did. Hell of a match, by the way.
Yeah, we got Angle suplexing him all over the place, and just kind of crazy. I'll point out too, this was really sort of kind of even a little bit more background here. This was really Edge's first solo storyline. He did have some feuds, like I said, but this was taking on Angle was really a big one. And this was after he had been with Christian for a while. And so, I guess there's just some of those stars, like who are you going to put and it feels weird to say a young Edge, but a young Edge in there with Kurt Angle, like who better to pick? It really what it kind of boils down to.
Yeah, you can just tell that Edge has what it takes. So, just a really good match. Yeah. Part of going back to AEW for a second, part of, where to me, you can say this is minor, but to me, it's a big deal. So you'll see Tony Khan every week or the AEW Twitter account, you'll see them post the weekly card. So on Dynamite, we're going to get these, 18 matches. And that is Tony Khan's view of wrestling. I want to see 12 really good matches. It just, again, is it good? Is it bad? It's completely subjective. It just depends on what you like. What we found is, less people like that than episodic storyline based television.
Yep.
So, they've chosen to do something where it's like, hey, these are the 10 matches you're going to get on Wednesday. I look at that and I'm like, who cares? I mean, how many non-built up fake wrestling matches can one take? Angle just threw Edge almost across the entire ring. That was just unbelievable. Great. Great. It was a really good match. But you understand what I'm saying? It's just to me, I don't know, Jeff. Do you look at 14 matches and go, man, I just can't wait to sit here and watch all of this wrestling. And I don't care why they're wrestling. And I don't really, it doesn't matter to me. I just seeing all these guys, compete in the ring is just going to be so awesome for me. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think that resonates with many. I know it doesn't resonate with many people based on the ratings.
I know, like not WWE, but like before WrestleMania, there was a lot of people tweeting out and kind of a lot of chatter on social media. Like it's 8, or they've got 9 hours scheduled for Mania, like pre-show, post-show, actual show. Like it's just a lot. It really is. And so like that, when we've talked a lot in the past, like, the amount of content that you could consume in a week, like you could have wrestling on all day long. Like, there's just no kind of stopping it really, which is wild. And so, yeah, it is hard though, when you phrase it that way, like I have to be fair about it. Like, yes, when AEW schedules 12, 13, 14 matches, not excited about it. Wasn't excited when Mania did it either. Like, it's too much. There's so much bloat at a certain point. And I get everybody wants to be on the card, but like we saw, like people are going to be left out. Like that's just how it happens. And so here comes the chair spot here. And big spear there from Edge. Yep. But the ref down. Yep. So I did pull up here too.
Hey, do you think there's just too many guys doing the spear? I don't know, man. Like it and I know it just feels like it happens with every wrestling move, like like super kicks, but it's like, man, like Braun Breaker should be doing the spear. Edge, maybe it was something different. He had a different version of it. I think the Usos doing the spear is absolutely criminal.
Yeah.
Like Braun Breaker, like you should protect that move, and I'll let Roman Reigns and Braun Breaker be the only two active guys that are doing it.
That's my thought.
Edge with another one. Wow.
Angle kicks out. Crowd pop hard. Yep.
Man, this is an incredibly hot match for basically like a mid-card. I mean, I understand it's Kurt Angle, but
I know you and I both saw it, and while it was cool in the moment, I have the hot take of I did not think that Braun Breaker spear against Carlito was as good as everybody else thought it was. Like he looked too wild, I thought. Which yes, it wasn't an incredibly hard spear, but I just thought maybe it was because I saw so many angles of it by the end, but I just didn't feel like it was. It wasn't as good. I don't know. I'm sure it was. I would never say that to his face, but yeah. So I did pull up here too while we got a little bit of time left, maybe. Yep. Best hair versus hair matches. This one, and because oddly enough, there's some rumor. When I was doing some research, there's some rumors out there that this was one of Vince's favorite stipulations, was a hair versus hair match. And so, of course, this match coming in at number 2, the Vince McMahon versus our current president Donald Trump, WrestleMania 23. That's number 3. 4, and I forgot about this one, so I read it. It was the CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio Over the Limit 2010 match. Number 5, fifth, Molly Holly versus Victoria at WrestleMania 20. But the number 1, and this is what I'm actually going to have to try and go find. It is from 1987. It was actually a Jerry Lawler versus Austin Idol, who I'm not familiar with. This would have been Memphis Wrestling. And spoiler here, it said this. Angle. We got it in there. Angle taking the pin, yep.
Kurt Angle has lost to Edge.
You hear the music?
It is different, yep.
Let's reconsider. Oh, look at Kurt Angle. It's a rematch. Oh, there's no rematch. Yes, let's have 5 more minutes. 2 out of 3 falls. This match is a 1-fall match. No. And Angle has lost.
But Angle, the heel,
great
still
match,
getting
man.
over. Yep.
Great match.
Yeah, that was good. Anyways, there was a Jerry Lawler match. It was number 1 where he was actually the babyface and lost. And so the fans actually rioted. And so I'm going to have to try and go back and find that one. But good stuff here. And they're still kind of brawling it out.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. All right, we'll continue to keep this on, but let's get to the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
All right, what'd you think?
High intensity, very good match. Like I said, Edge kind of young, looks great. They both look great, but just really high intensity. You've got Edge now, like you said, the stipulation here, dragging Angle over to the barber chair, which is kind of set up just to the side, of the ramp. We got a barber standing up there kind of waiting. They're still brawling a little bit. Like they do add a little bit of question here because Angle's trying to run away, which he's getting away. And so we're just going to have to see how it plays out here. Yep.
I thought it was a hell of a match. Crowd was super into it. It was great. Yeah, very happy with that.
Yep. Good stuff. Yeah, so we'll talk about Angle on this one first again in the aftermath. It was mid 2002. Actually, John Cena making his WWE televised debut. He actually lost to Angle after a roll up pin. It was on a June 27th episode of SmackDown. Angle then started feuding with Benoit, losing him to Forgiven in late September. A couple months later, he then had them teaming together to participate. It was the first crown the first WWE Tag Team Champions. They won the tournament, or not the first, and it was the finals at No Mercy in October. This actually made Kurt a Grand Slam champion, the fifth, winning the tag belts on that one. That match actually was voted the 2002 Match of the Year by the Wrestling Observer, and so kind of interesting. And that was, pulling it up real quick here, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit beating Edge and Rey Mysterio for that one. So we'll have to make sure that that's on the list. And then we got that. Edge on the flip side here, it was actually an episode of SmackDown where they had a steel cage match. That was the end of their feud, Edge winning that one. You had Edge spearing Angle from the top rope. He actually hurt himself on that one. He was out for a little bit, but then he actually won the tag belts along with Hulk Hogan in July. They beat Billy and Chuck. And then Edge and Hogan actually losing the titles at Vengeance that July to the Un-Americans, who of course were Lance Storm and Christian. And at SummerSlam, Edge actually beat Eddie Guerrero and then lost. So just a lot of different feuds, a lot of different things happening here. Angle's kind of still working to get the young guys over. I say, young John Cena, which is nuts, but that's what it is. And then Edge continuing the kind of tag feuds, but then also being with Hogan, like just a lot of moving pieces on this one. So PWI for 2002, Angle was 6, Edge was 7. The Pro Wrestling Torch on this one, nothing too crazy, 3.25 stars. A good athletic match ending with Edge rolling up Angle. This was by a long shot the best match according to the Wrestling Observer. Edge came back, unfortunately. Edge came back and put Angle out again with a sleeper and shaved his head with him out. When Angle was revived, he saw himself. Unfortunately, Angle has to be something other than fun mid-card from this point moving forward. 4.5 stars. So actually, big difference here. 3.25 versus 4.5. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be more towards the 4.5. In terms of our payoff score, I mean, obviously not the biggest, most hyped match in history. But I mean, for what it was, kind of middle of the card and up and comer, I thought really hot match, fun stipulation. Obviously what would happen with Angle and being bald and trying to conceal it and everything was some really, really good stuff. So I'll put this at I'm actually going to give this an 8. I just thought, again, for what it was, I thought it was really, really good. Again, think about it. You've, really started to make a single star in Edge, which I think he overachieved as a single star. If you look at everything he did, I mean, just a great career. One of my favorites of all time. So we're elevating him. It's a fun Angle. It was a great match. I don't know. I thought this was very, very good for a lot of reasons. What about you?
A lot of action. They didn't stop. They were going the whole time. They're still going. We don't know. They're in the back doing whatever. Eventually, we'll see what happens here. But we may not. But it's out there. Kind of him getting his head shaved. We know that happens. And so, yeah, just really wild how good it was. I'm at a 7.5. Like I said, it was really good in my opinion, especially thinking, like I always say, like try to put myself in the time of when it was happening. So to see kind of Angle really lose to Edge, like that stipulation and the crowd pop, which was insane, just really good overall. Yeah. So
good, man. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a very good find on your end there, bud.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. Yeah. Next week, though, hopefully, too, we got another good find. I know, Eddie Guerrero taking on Rob Van Dam. It's another 2002 match between these two guys on Monday Night Raw. So hopefully that one can live up to it. And then I have to point out, that is episode 299. This was 298. That's 299, and then 300. We've got a special one too. So it should be. Who would have thunk? 300 episodes later, here we are.
Well, I'm excited, man. Yeah, we've got some good stuff coming up. We appreciate everyone listening. We're super excited about 300 episodes coming here soon, but that was 298. Next week will be 299. And as always, we appreciate you listening to The Payoff.